Picture this. It's 5:30 p.m. on a Friday. You've just grinded through a 45-hour work week. You're sitting in your car, staring at the taillights in front of you, and your brain is quite literally fried. The thought of cooking a healthy meal feels as impossible as climbing Mount Everest. So you open a delivery app, you spend $45 on Thai food or a burger just to survive the night. You tell yourself, I earned this, I worked hard. But what if I told you that mathematically you didn't just spend $45? What if I told you that the pizza, the gas you burn, the suit you wore, and the sheer stress that forced you to order that food are all hidden taxes reducing your salary by nearly 70%? You think you're selling your time for $30 an hour. But after we do the forensic accounting on your life, the math proves you might be working for less than $4 an hour. Today, we aren't talking about investing. We're talking about an accounting fraud, not one committed by a corporation, but one you're unknowingly committing against yourself every time you accept a job based on the gross salary. Welcome to the work scam. Let's perform a brutal audit on an average worker. We'll call him James. James makes a respectable $31 an hour. But before that money even touches his bank account, the government takes its cut. Between federal, state, and social security taxes, that $31 is instantly shaved down to $24. But that's just the beginning. Now we subtract the costs of work. These are expenses James pays solely for the privilege of having his job. First, the commute. Thousands of dollars a year on gas, insurance, and wear and tear on a car he basically only owns to get to the office. Let's call it $4,000 a year. Second, the appearance tax. James can't show up in pajamas. He needs professional clothes and dry cleaning. That's another slice of his paycheck gone. Third, the convenience tax. This is the big one. Because James is trapped in an office, he buys $10 lunches because he's too tired to meal prep. He buys $5 coffees to survive the 2 p.m. meeting. He pays a dog walker because he isn't home. And finally, the darkest category of all, decompression spending. This is the money James spends to numb the pain of the job. It's the Friday night bar tab, the impulsive retail therapy, and the expensive vacations booked just to heal the damage the job inflicts on his psyche. When you add it all up, the taxes, the car, the clothes, the stress eating, James isn't taking home $65,000. His real net income is closer to $35,000. He's running a business with massive overhead and his margins are razor thin. But we're only halfway through the equation because your real wage isn't just about the money you lose, it's about the time you never get back. HR says James works 40 hours a week. That is a lie. Let's look at his shadow work. James wakes up at 6:30 a.m. to shower, shave, and iron his shirt. That's 30 minutes of labor for his employer. He drives 30 minutes to work. That's unpaid labor. He takes an hour for lunch, but he's held captive. He can't nap, he can't see his family, and he definitely isn't free. Then there's the 30-minute drive home, followed by another 30 minutes of staring at the wall just to decompress from his boss's emails. When you add up the grooming, the commuting, and the worrying, James isn't working 40 hours. He is dedicating 60 hours a week to his job. Now let's do the real math. We take his whittled down net income of $35,000 and divide it by these inflated true hours. Suddenly, that respectable $31 an hour evaporates. James is actually making $11 an hour. In some high-stress cities, he might even be making less than the teenager flipping burgers down the street. Why? Because the teenager walks to work, wears a uniform provided for them, and leaves the stress at the fry station. James is running a high-churn, low-margin business where he is the product and he's selling himself at a loss. This math isn't meant to depress you, it's meant to make you efficient. Once you know your real hourly wage, your entire view of the world changes. You stop seeing $100 pair of shoes as $100. If your real wage is $10 an hour, those shoes cost 10 hours of your life. They cost 10 hours of sitting in traffic and dealing with passive aggressive emails. Is that plastic junk worth 10 hours of your soul? Suddenly, the answer is almost always no. This is how you break the work scam. You have to stop being a passive consumer and start treating your labor like a business. A smart business owner doesn't just chase revenue, they protect their margin. If you make $50,000, spend $20,000 and work 30 hours a week, you are a highly profitable, robust enterprise. You are winning. But if you make 100,000 and spend 95,000 just to tolerate the stress, you are a failing business. You are Enron waiting to collapse. So here's your homework. This Sunday, when you're fresh, run the numbers. Calculate your commute, your taxes, and your decompression spending. Find your real wage and write it on a sticky note. Put it on your credit card. The next time you're about to buy something you don't need, look at that number. Ask yourself, am I willing to trade 4 hours of my life for this? The system relies on you being too exhausted to do this math. Don't let them win. Cut the vampire costs. Build the gap between your income and your expenses, because that gap is where your freedom lives. Stop selling your life at a discount. If this philosophy scared you a little bit, or if it made you rethink that trip you've been putting off, hit the like button. I'm Bobby and I want you to be wealthy in life, not just on paper. Subscribe for more ways to hack the system, and I'll see you in the next one.